All right, we're live in all the right places. It's the Bulk Truth with Royce. Royce, welcome to your show.
Hey, Steve. Welcome back.
Oh, thank you. Glad to be back in the U.S. of A. Back from El Salvador. They're going to need some of these veracities, diamond apparatuses soon. So try to make some connections there for you as well.
There you go. Exotic places.
Yep. Okay, so today we're going to talk about export logistics and agriculture, mainly the material of soybeans and soybean meal. And we're going to talk about Cadaro being the ultimate automated solution for container loading. So let's, why did you want to talk about this specifically today?
So this is the most recent application that we have commercially. And over the last few years, we've had a lot of inquiries around container loading, U.S., Canada, different materials, soybean meal, other meals. And so it's been very popular as far as a conversation. But this is the first application that we've been able to actually commercially install and receive data back on.
All right. So we're going to share some the screen with some images here for folks to look at it. Here we go. If you're listening, we're looking at an actual installation of the Veracity Diamond.
Correct. So as you can see in this image, so normally they use a conveyor, and so that conveyor extends into the container, and so they back the container. It's on a truck. They back it up into the conveyor, so it's extended, and then they have an overhead bin, and so from there they're automating that process, or in many cases it's still manual, and so they're loading the container to a target weight. And from there, they'll go to the scale it, and then it's moving down the road, and they bring the next one. And so that's the process that seems to be very normal as far as container loading. And the thing I hear consistently is people are looking for a way to automate that process with the goal of not being over or under, hit the target, and simplify the efficiency of loading those containers.
So this is what's called a conveyor to container loadout. What surprised me was that conveyor just fits in the back, like it's like a UPS truck or something, and they're putting grain in it. So are they repurposing it? They use it for other things?
Yeah. So those containers, I mean, they may be shipped to the U.S. with certain materials in it, and then the chances are they're shipping it back with grain or similar materials back to another country.
So how do they keep it from? This is a dumb question. This is city boy question here. How does it keep from draining out the back as it fills up that container?
So it's layering it in there. So it's going to fill the front, and as they're coming to the back, obviously there's going to be a slight void in the very back. It looks like they've got boards or something to catch any material that's coming out of the back of the truck or that container. But pretty standard.
I just pictured it to be full up to the top, I guess not.
Well, you and I both are learning. This is an interesting application for us, and very excited to have the first one. As you can see in this example, so clearance really wasn't a limitation. And so the Veracity Diamond was the product that was chosen. I think this is actually a 20K Veracity Diamond. We're only loading like 7,500 pounds a minute. It's mounted directly to the flange underneath the bin, and then from there they've fit everything back to exactly the way it was before. So we fit nicely into their system. Today they're manually using this, so they actually are using our HMI screen. They can type in, okay, here's my tare weight, here's my target container weight, and then it will show them as it's loading where they are in the process. And at the point that it gets to that they need to shut the gate manually. And so whether a person's doing it manually or if they want to fully automate, it could be an actuated gate right above our sensor to where we send the signal to close that gate and be very consistent as far as that approach.
All right, I'm switching to the other image. This is a different view, but you can see the green layer is the only layer that they needed to add in to accomplish having automated measurement.
Correct. That's the Veracity Diamond sensor.
So when you were talking, going back to this other image, when I'm looking at this container, I'm assuming all the containers that are backing up are the exact same, but they're probably um, different now that because you have to program exactly how much weight, right?
Sure. Well, and so trucks can vary, containers can vary. So you could have a tare weight, and so they'll have a tare, and then they'll have a target gross weight that they need to stay under. And so that's what we're managing between, and to make sure that we can deliver that exact amount and simplify the process so they're not cycling, bringing the container back around to add more material, or what's harder is take material off.
Yeah. So if they have too much, they just get in there and shovel it out on the ground.
They'll probably go to a pit, and yes, they'll have to remove it. And it's not a simple process with these.
So the guy that's running this, and he's got all these different weights, he's got to guess it without the veracity diamond. He has to guess.
Yeah. So the way they were doing it before was a timer. So and timers, you can get close, but as you have material changes, as far as maybe the density of the product's changing or the container slightly different, it's an estimate, obviously. And so if you're underfilling, you're really, it's additional freight per pound to move the material overseas. And if you're overfilling, then there's implications as far as having to take the material off or risk being fined.
Wow. So veracity diamond just makes it simple.
It does. And then with the ability out of the box to have the controls where you can actuate to the gate and automate the entire process. I think that's where I would be voting. I'd be moving employees to where they're just monitoring the process versus, continue to be actively involved in opening and closing a gate based on what they're seeing on the control panel.
And then, all right, so the installation of that component, how long did it take to install that or add that in?
Yes, good question. So we weren't on site whenever they installed this one, but when we had it delivered, it was less than a week. They had it up and plugged in and ready to calibrate. And this is one of the sites. This was in Pennsylvania, so Josh was actually able to just do it over the phone to help him walk him through the process. It's very simple. I think it took them maybe an hour. So they loaded a few containers and confirmed that everything was right. And since then, we just got a copy of the data. So I think our average variance, I don't remember how many loads it was, but it's like 0.12% variance versus the scale. So it's fairly precise.
Wow. So it seems like it give an operation a sense of confidence that they'll go over to the scale do they have to have a documented number from that scale before they hit the road?
Correct. Yes. And that'll be the weight that it's transacted on. So that'll be the formal weight that they'll use for invoicing, billing. The goal here was just to make the process more efficient so they don't have to come back.
Wow. So they just head out, they're going to stop on that scale and get a number, and they're not worried about it being over or under, and then they're on their way. Otherwise, it could be hours if it's over, or they want to back it up and hopefully guess a little bit extra. But I bet they don't do a redo unless it's over. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, the goal is to get as close as possible without going over. I think that's the name of the game when you're loading, whether it be containers or trucks or rail. That's to come back for just a small quantity is not very efficient, very costly.
So you said this was 7,500?
7,500 pounds a minute, I think, is the flow rate on this, even though the unit can measure all the way up to 20,000 pounds a minute. So in this case, I mean, it actually has greater capacity than the conveyor that it's attached to. But if they ever upgraded that conveyor to a larger, they always have the opportunity. They wouldn't have to replace the flow sensor.
So at 7,500 pounds a minute, how many minutes does it need to run? Do you know?
Good question. So that one's probably running about 7 minutes, somewhere around there.
Wow.
Less than 7 minutes. So when if we were loading a truck with that same unit, it'd be loading a truck in, 2.5 minutes or less. And so it slowed down a little bit, but still has the capability to be faster.
So that's when you say they're timing it, there would be timing it. Otherwise, they would just be going, all right, it ran for 7 minutes, turn it off.
Correct.
Let's see what the weight is.
That's right.
So
and then more than likely, since it's so hard to take product off, more than likely they're undershooting it and then deciding if they need to come back for more. And in general, we see that the throughput process of these flow sensors and these type of loading opportunities upwards of 20+% gain as far as efficiency. And so obviously you're going to make it much more efficient. You're going to the goal is to hit the truck one time. I believe the data showed that 80% of the time we were plus or minus our 1%, which is what we claim. And so that's going to work as far as delivering the precision that they're looking for and moving to the next truck.
I wonder how many trucks they fill up in a row.
I don't recall on this specific site. I mean, it's pretty consistent as you go through the day. They have them lined up the day that I delivered this unit. There are several containers and trucks already in line to be loaded. So I think it's a normal process every day.
Then they would take it to the dock or wherever they're going to. Do they go on a rail after this?
So I'm not sure. So where this one's located, I don't know if they're going to rail or if it's going to a barge. I'm not sure how that's working.
So I'm curious. Did you talk to the guy that ran this before the installation? The guy that was responsible turning on and off?
Yes. So the operations person is the one that found us. And so it took a little bit of work of him researching it, talking to a few existing customers that were using it for automated truck loading, to finally have the confidence as far as what it could do. And so definitely spoke several times before the unit was purchased. And then since the unit's been purchased, as far as walking through the process of getting it installed. And then he was kind enough to share these images of it installed and then some of the data over the weekend as far as how it's performing its first week out.
So the guy responsible for turning on and off researched, found you, then got what he needed to get his management or his leadership to buy into this. So how did he feel? What was some of his feedback?
Yeah, so this is a family business. So I think if I remember right, maybe it's his uncles. And so it's, taking it to them as far as here's an opportunity. And there's always skepticism, right? Is it going to do what you said it does? And well, what if it doesn't perform? And so, to date, we still haven't had somebody that put one of these in that's, taking it out. But we're committed to making sure that it delivers and we understand the expectations and the deliverables and then make sure that the customer achieves or overachieves what they're looking for. And I think we're well on our way. There's sometimes there's hiccups. Sometimes there's new things that we learn and see and we have to work through. But this one was pretty straightforward.
So did you guys provide the green part? Did they build that funnel?
They did. Yeah. So as far as the fab work for, I don't know if they did it internally or had a millwright come in and make those adjustments. And so it's nice. So if we know the upper flange, normally we're going to mate directly to that flange. Mm-hmm. And then on the outlet side, it's a standard flange. So then they can make their transitions or find a transition that fits depending on what their clearance is. And each site's a little different.
Yeah. That I guess it's sheet steel. It's shiny compared to that dirty part. So I was wondering about that.
Yeah. So
you guys paint it green so it doesn't turn dirty brown down there, huh?
Yeah. So those are the ones we fabbed recently. So we're about to switch over and these units will be 304 stainless steel going forward. So the green ones will go away and they'll just be stainless steel production with an option of either having a ceramic liner or not. So excited about the next phase of these sensors.
Stainless steel just to match or what? Why the change?
No, stainless steel is going to be more durable. So versus just carbon steel with the powder coating. So more acceptable, fits in more applications, gives us where we can handle one product going across many applications. So even in food grade, applications, we're going to be able to go there. And then the liner is that last piece. So soybeans can be very abrasive. So more abrasive products stainless is going to be good, but the ceramic liner that we can install just helps extend the life of the product that much more.
So where did the, let's call him the operator, where did the operator find you? How did he learn about you?
I don't recall on this one. It would have been many times we asked that question. So many times, and I probably have it in my notes, they're finding this from advertising in Feed and Grain or Grain Journal, some Seed Today, and those type advertisements or magazines, maybe web banners. I've had several call, and they found we had done some type of email that went out through a promotion, and it was in their junk folder. And they were, I've had 2 just in 1 week that called because it was in their junk folder, and they pulled it out and said, "Wait a second, I've been looking for something like this." And so they called and had a conversation. So, and then obviously Google still is very popular, and one of the reasons we do this, the Bulk Truth, is trying to find a way to get the message out there where people are using Chat GPT. So they're looking in a new way, and it takes information like this and to where they can reference it, and then they can go to things like YouTube to see videos or images, etc., or watch and listen to the Bulk Truth.
Awesome. So then the last question I have is, did they buy this outright? Was this a subscription? One of your,
yeah, trying to remember this one. I believe this one is a subscription. And so we offered with the launch of the Diamond series, we offered it as a subscription with the option to convert that to an owned unit purchase by the middle of December. And I think that may have been one of the considerations on this application. That helps address the questions as far as, is it going to work? How's it going to work for us? What is the return on investment? And so this gets it installed quicker, where people are building their own internal numbers and seeing what the true value and benefit is before taking that leap as far as making an outright purchase, and then possibly just staying with a year-to-year subscription.
I like when you bring these images that it makes it easier to interrogate you.
I like it too, because we're talking about a real product, a real application. Hopefully it's beneficial for others to think, I'm looking for something very similar, right? I've got that need, and just the sheer number of people that have inquired about container loading. This is great. Now we have data. Now we have an application to demonstrate what it is capable of. And the only thing that maybe would be more advanced is having the controls on the gate, where you could program it in, and then you're just monitoring open, close, right? You're just sitting there hitting start and then monitoring the process.
And then later, I would imagine that the data, the aggregate, you would have some sort of reporting that said so many loads went out, and this is how much was delivered.
Yeah, so that's definitely on the side. They're going to have all that data. So they'll have the tare weights, the gross weights, the net weights of every container that goes through there. And that's pretty important. And we're working on ways that we can start bringing that information, that data together to reconcile it and make it easier to see what the impact is.
Be nice to be able, once you hit stop, and then as that truck's driving away, that the invoice is already generated and sent to that company via email,
Yeah. And so it would take legal for trade, a certified weight to be able to do that. That's in our future. That's something that we're striving towards, but one step at a time. Right now is really just working on getting those measurements and helping with the automation process, and this being one example of many as far as how it could be done.
All right. So, Royce, what's the best way to kind of, this guy reached out, talked to you, got some data, got the okay, and then got it installed. What's that process look like if someone wants to talk to you?
Yeah, so a good way to do it is to go to the info@cadaro.com. Go to our website. You can fill out for a site review or schedule a meeting. Most of our initial meetings and calls where people bring some pictures as far as what they have, what they're thinking, what they want to achieve, and we can pull up over a Teams call and share more as far as similar commercial applications and discuss, specifically what are you looking for, what do you want to achieve, what's your goals, and then make sure we select the right product. and go through that process, and then it results in some type of quote. So they have generally at least a quote or maybe multiple quotes where they can, take that and go back and present that to their management group to see how this may fit or work into their budget.
Awesome. You got the cute little QR code in the top right. You can take a picture of with your phone and click. It'll take you to all the connection places. What's your X handle and your LinkedIn handle?
You got to tell me, because you flashed it up there, and it's not something I know still off the top of my head.
There it is, LinkedIn.
It's in there somewhere.
So you've got one of those unique names. You can't do Steve Brown. You have to put ROI in the middle on Steve Brown, because you know how many Steve Browns there are? There's too many. So you can shake a stick and hit a Steve Brown anywhere. But Roy Schulte, that's LinkedIn / Roy Schulte. And then his X, we'll figure out we'll figure it out and have it ready to post next time. How about that? That's a promise. All right, Royce, good job. I learned a lot today. If you've been listening, you want to reach out, get with Royce, and he'll make it easy. He'll get you all the stuff set you up for success. And that's another episode of Bulk Truth. And that's a wrap.